Hey everybody, this is Petey from the Spinner Rack, and today I am going to do a video on two issues from the 1963 miniseries from Image Comic Books. Now, if any of you remember this, we've done a couple of videos. I kind of did a video where I compiled all of the interviews I could to say what happened in the series. It's mostly interview with the kayfabe guys with Steve Bissett. Then there's a couple other videos where we talked to there was an interview with Jim Valentino, who put this all together, who cajoled Steve Bissett, and Steve Bissett cajoled Alan Moore and Rick Veitch. And then we also have some, I think, Gabe Gibbons. I kind of left out the Image guys because I think Rob Liefeld said that doesn't say that Jim Valentino got him. He says that Todd McFarlane got Alan Moore. So they kind of X out the competitiveness of the Image guys. No knows no bounds. So now this would seemingly be like trying to do Marvel from the 60s, but it's Alan Moore. So there's a little bit more spoof to this, right? So this, I think, as comic fans, we're very hyped for this, but I think the kids, now this sold pretty decently, but not decent enough for the Image guys, since there was no interest in doing the annual, and that sort of died out. But 6 issues came out. I have 5 of them here. 3 were, no, I guess it's, you have, as I said, Steve Bissett drawing, you have Rick Veitch drawing, you have Dave Gibbons inking, we have Jim Valentino also drawing, we have Don Simpson. I think he does the Captain America. What's his name is USA. He does that. Obviously, Alan Moore writes it, and what else? Is anyone there? I said Don Simpson, right? So ultimately, when they came in, Steve Bissett said he wanted to do something like we do it like Marvel style, and with that kind of thrown together, they had Alan Moore decided we do like old style Marvel comic book, and everyone was jazzed about that. So it's a precursor to what we'd see in Supreme, precursor to what we'd see in Tom Strong, which I don't have a comic book of that. But really, this series is the precursor to Supreme. So if you haven't read it, you should read it, because everything that gets into this sort of multiverse stuff and every like that, it starts here and it continues on. Because when the Tomorrow Syndicate go into Alternity, they kind of experience all the different universes, and that's what the opening part of Supreme is. So I'm going to give you the first 2, right? Book 1, Mystery Incorporated. Book 2, No One Escapes the Fury, right? So this is seemingly a classic, excuse me, FF type story, but Alan Moore is more of a DC guy. So they kind of do, these guys do their best. They really do a good Marvel sort of thing, but there's a little bit of DC and a lot of cynicism creeps in there. A lot of spoofing comes in here, but it's they even try to do the Mystery Incorporated is America's most exciting comic book. The what else? The Image didn't have sort of those things. They had the corner boxes, multiple things, a copy to read on here, like the Marvel books, instead of one sort of clean sort of thing, right? And these kind of weird sort of phrasing that Alan Moore would do. The gold darn it. There's a bunch of those in there. But just to give you the name, we have Crystal Man, Planet, we have Neon Girl, and Kid Dynamo, right? I can't give you their real names because I'm not sure I'm going to get it wrong, right? And they're constantly trying to do this. It'd be funny if he had Say Less here. But and see, Shadowline. So this is under the under Jim Valentino, who drew the Johnny Beyond here. And this is like a classic FF story, like where they kind of have hijinks in their headquarters, and this is no different. We have the plant. We don't know who he is when we started this up, right? So he goes in there in a classic battle where he's similar like the Superman movie where it kind of opens. We see this guy is drawable, but then we start to see the crystal from like what happened before. Something we'd see in Marvel Comics when Iceman would do his thing, but of course it all comes to pieces. Right? Some gags, sort of. These aren't as strong as the Things gags, but trying to catch that feel, right? So one of the things, this is kind of the dry run for the series. It's not really what it would get to, but it's got kind of, I guess you can go nostalgia, but it's kind of doesn't have the bite. It's kind of like, as I always say, the 70s FF. So it's kind of like that. It's not really just the Challengers, because Challengers were men of action, right? You see a Kid Dynamo fighting, the classic thing, versus Human Torch, and as always, someone finds a water pipe to put out the Human Torch. But this, as you see in some of these sort of things, kind of playing up the girl getting some light in this thing. But they're kind of similar to the UFOs, because they had, a gas, a woman that turned into different types of gases. We had the sort of the X-ray guy. We had the Vector guy, and Ironclad. So it's kind of similar to that, right? So they stop him. Well, she stops him, and they hold him off, right? And we see them in the human personas, but at the same time, we see they all are human. So it's kind of taking that thing where we don't have the bite of the FF. These guys are just kind of fun heroes, kind of way we see the FF in our heads, that we want them to just be pretty much normal guys with powers. Where that's not what Stanley and Jack did. So right, they show their origin. They go to this planet. They see these creatures, and then of course they get hit with these rays, and they turn into Mystery Incorporated. Right? I screwed it up. Yep, Mystery Incorporated. Right? And nothing's been the same ever since. Right? And we have these two kind of pining over the girl in the series, Regini. You got, I think the other one is Biff. And so it's just kind of mixing up the things. Yes, there was Tommy Baker here. And but this trying to get a nod to the Lost Horizon. That's what can't be forgotten here, right? Because it says an astronaut, a physicist, this college, and two college whiz kids, right? So that's kind of the take they're going to do on this, right? And then, of course, in the headquarters, they have all these things, and this is more. FF doesn't really have that. That's more the Fortress of Solitude. So it's getting kind of DC in this type of area, with the kind of big. Well, it's not really. DC kind of kept all of the what is it called? The World's Fair aspect. So everything's big, everything. So when you see like stuff like the Fortress of Solitude, which came from, I think it's the Doc Savage, the Man of Bronze. That's kind of a, World's Fair type of thing. So but this is the Marvel thing where they're reading the letters, actually reading the comic book from the thing, and then here we got a sequence that's like, oh man, what's that nutty movie where everyone goes backwards? Oh man, I should have had it written down. But right here, you can't really tell, and we might need a different storyteller to tell it. But he's going backwards here, right? So she tried to take him, but things that happen in such a way that counteract her powers. So this character is escaping, right? But he, instead of going forward, like she's supposed to go, but see his word is going backwards. So he actually escapes, walks out of the thing. So something's going on with time here, right? So they're trying to follow. They use what they can to follow this guy, right? They're following him, and they see he's in here, but of course, and yeah, this is like, you can see their location, their locale is really kind of DC, where they would really kind of give you, like, I guess, like Challenger's Mountain type of deal, right? Where the FL was really just in a building, right? But you see all these statues and such, and this train where initially it doesn't really get, they don't really get into the FF kind of minimalism, but then this, all these defenses were put in by Crystal Man, is now being utilized on the characters, right? And we see the Fury, who's going to be in the next one. They all getting attacked by their own place, right? It was a nod to everything that we've seen in Fantastic Four. And he has a line, there's a planet coming. He has something that's a little bit like Armanzola they're fighting against. And they figure a way to stop this thing. Oh, Neon Queen. So that's her name, right? She turns into neon gas. But then Kid Dynamo goes ahead and he runs into this character. Now, I know who this character is. I don't know if we're going to get through all of these for me to find out who it is if you don't know. I wish I got these t-shirts at the time, though. Maybe it's online. We'll see. Right? So he has this thing. Of course, water is coming at him again. It's not that. He's able to fight back. It's a nice little tussle. When he turns into electricity again, he gets put into this box. Now, the Marvel characters didn't turn into, well, no, I guess I already said first when the UFO turned into gas, so that throws that out of water. And then this is cool right here. When he falls into the thing, this is not really, this is, I guess it's like the distortion area. So you can say it's kind of like Jack Kirby. So, but this is sort of new wave stuff, but it's using old effects. So getting the idea that to turn into digits and into a computer. But the dialogue of this person isn't like the character itself. So it kind of reveals it's not who we think it is. Right? And they see the alternate reality and seeing the different versions of themselves. Right? And we see the Russian, that sort of thing. So they know where they have to go because they know where this character is going now. He's trying to figure it out. They get to see what he did, saying that he's messing with time, right? The planet's ready to go there. And of course, going into the maybe machine, which is like, I guess it's, what's that thing? The maybe machine is like the negative zone, right? So then we get these cool backup posters, Crystal Man, Neon Queen. That could be Alan Moore's wife, right? So with seeing this first one, these books were definitely done similar. Look out! There's a planet coming, right? So that was the tagline they came up with. These books were definitely done like, well, so since it was plot, art, script, Alan Moore would definitely be the Stan Lee of this. As the series went on, Steve Bissette said they were doing a lot of heavy lifting and kind of doing the letter pages and stuff like that as editors. So, like many stories of, I guess, creator-owned stuff. No, not creator-owned, but collaboration. They're struggling to get their partner to work with them because he was doing Violator versus Batman. So let's get into this. I read this thing 3 million times. I think there's a smudge there because I loved it so much. Now this is getting to like the Spider-Man. Obviously we had a Fantastic Four here. we get into a Spider-Man type character, or Spider-Man and Daredevil, Kirby minimalism here, even though it was a Ditko type of thing. No, Ditko had the Missing Man, right? So the Missing Man type of stuff, and then you have a monster here. Going to the Atlas monsters. Sometimes they would slip in some monsters. Not really in Spider-Man, but we'll see how this one goes. No, actually, he has some aliens in the early Spider-Mans, right? So here's Steve Bissette. And this was ultimately to kind of fund his, what's that thing? His dinosaur story that he was doing, that for Tundra, right? So we had this cool shot. This is Solo, who is the Nick Fury of the series. And she's a part of Laser, the Law and Security Enforcement Reserve, right? And they're working together. He was we saw him on the truck, and he's involved in helping them out. And obviously, here's Solo. And then, of course, they get attacked, right? Try to free whatever this thing is. And the Fury's ready. He's this character that kind of like a Ditko slash, what is it? Mort Meskin type of character. Kind of, you can see multiple things of him, that sort of stuff. A character that's kind of in motion, right? Or simulated motion, right? And this is cool, right? To go from here to here. Steve Bissette, ultimately, I don't know why he didn't try to stick with this style, but it's not really the style for the time. So I don't know if there would be any big money in it, right? So he stops those guys, but it was actually this Voidoid guy who's behind it, and the things pass through him. But once he puts his helmet on and he can pick up a gun, and I cracked up, but this was so much fun. The fact that this guy has this thing, and this is sort of like how Spider-Man is. Even with this guy has the skill to kind of, dodge bullets, right? This is his sort of figuring out his weak points, and he's still dodging. So he has to run away. So the classic, like Spider-Man running away, right? And while they're dealing with that X thing, Cargo X, and see, this is what I'm talking about. I think this is like a decent amount of dialogue. A lot of dialogue for the quiet scenes because you don't need it to move fast, right? It's setting up everything that's going to happen here, building suspense to get to here, right? So here we go. Go back to the fight. He couldn't escape. And the Fury used one of his discs. And then we get to see this cool shot when he comes back on. But he's able to grab more of his cool stuff. And he's about to take out the Fury. And we see this crazy monster that says he killed the dinosaurs. Alright? And Voidoid gets knocked out. So the Fury, like Spider-Man, in over his head. And then Solo helps him out right before he's about to die. He's like, uh-oh, I gotta make a call. Right? So the nod to the Spider-Man stuff. He calls his mother. Right? Right? Yep, his mother. You hear his real name. You get a picture of who he was. He doesn't want to be an adventurer, but look at him. They send him to an early grave. While he's on the phone, creatures are about to take him out. And of course, just like Spider-Man, he gets out just in the nick of time. You see a flashback of what happened. How the Fury was fighting some nutty. His father was a hero before that, and now he's become this like a legacy sort of thing. And of course, Voidoid's about to do his thing, and of course the Fury comes out of nowhere, but it's set up. It's really nicely set up, right? You got an idea, takes him out. So I think a lot of us fans were excited about this, but the Image guys were kind of not excited. They're more excited to get Alan Moore to do other things. So the Voidoid turns into this person who could be like a Flash Thompson, but this is like, you know, same like Cosmic Spidey, doing a bunch of stuff, using stuff that he never used before, but it's like it works for the story because it's just fun. And then he uses his thing to topple this creature, and for some reason the creature can't swim. But explaining why this doesn't work, and they capture it, and he takes some of the weapons to the scientists. And I think those two characters might lead into some of the other characters, maybe them, right? And then we see this weight on his shoulders, just like Spider-Man. Now that we've gotten through it, we only did 20 minutes. That's great. We're not going to do another issue. But to prove to you that this isn't just quote-unquote nostalgia, this book is a spoof. And I'm not reading through all this stuff to figure that out. Nice pinup of Sky Solo, the lady from Laser. This pinup is incredible, right? And they said that we should have figured out some more money for these pinups. But here, look at this. An amazing invention. Magic art appropriator. Swipe any drawing in 1 minute. No talent, no lessons. You can draw professionally, make big money like an artist, even if you can't draw a straight line, right? So we have this thing that copies and somehow allows you to copy the whole thing. Now this is what was going on during the period that the Image guys were getting called on swiping stuff. And I don't know if they saw this, but somehow it still got printed. So spoofs would be a little bit more, I think on the Hypernaut, it gets a little more evident, but because the Hypernaut was one of my favorite characters and I should have done this here. But I'm not going to do this now. Nice 20 minutes. Spinner rack out, and there's a nice cover by Alex Ross. So it kind of make the feel. I don't think they only appeared again in what's that character? Shadowhawk. But that's about it. Maybe we'll come back. I think you guys watched my other video of my compiled and interviews. If you haven't, check it out. Spinner rack out.